Good afternoon. This is Veterans Talk. It ain't nothing but a thing, but it's a thing we want you tuned into every Saturday afternoon. I'm Elsa McGee, your host, and naturally I'm here with my sidekick and my keep me straight buddy, Tony. And today we got a special guest. Now, I know somebody gonna be asking me that I threatened my doctor to get him here. No. But today we talk about what we always talk about: all things veterans, VA, and the government and the community. When it comes down to veterans, our service and what we serve for, this democracy that we love, we got to look at all ways. Look both ways, going across the street to get to where we're trying to be. And that's a more perfect union. This is enough for everybody in this country. And I'm just a proud American. So I'm on here and I'm gonna beat that drum till I can't beat it no more. But today we want to focus on veterans medicines and our relationship with our doctors. Now, yesterday, as a lot of you know, we had Elijah Lorenza Forbes, who's a life member of our chapter, three Purple Hearts. This man had 3 Purple Hearts. He was wounded 3 different times in Vietnam. He was drugged off by, he was taken prisoner. And then he still lived to be 77 years old. I was knowing Eli since I was in the 1st grade. So naturally he's a hero to me, but he's a hero to all Americans who love this democracy and military service. So, but I was visiting Eli when he was ill, and from the hospitals to the hospice. And one of the things that stuck out in my mind, I've been doing veteran claims since 1975. Didn't really start focusing on the other side of claims to medical issues until I was diagnosed with a Agent Orange issue. And the way VA dealt with it, they diagnosed you got the heart disease and where you gonna get a benefit. Okay, I'm glad I'm gonna get another benefit. I'm gonna get more money. But it's another side to that I want to talk with today. And I asked my doctor, Dr. Cote, with GenCare Medical now, who is one of our supporters in the community, and he was gracious enough to come on. And because every time I go to him, I guess I ask him 1,000 questions. But the questions I ask him have motivated me and helped me to not look like a heart patient a lot of time, and I have not wound up in the hospital one time in 2 years. And after that, I started talking with Dr. Cote, and when I start getting those symptoms, I called Dr. Cote. Dr. Cote, thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Just tell people a little bit about yourself and
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Cote. I work with GenCare Senior Medical Center in East Point, Georgia. I've been there ever since 2019. I've been living in Atlanta ever since 2013. I did my residency at Emory University in internal medicine. I went to medical school at the University of Illinois in Chicago. Graduated from there in 2013. I'm originally from the East Coast, Delaware. So I grew up there doing a big triangle. So from the East Coast to the Midwest and now down south. And I ended up staying here. I loved it. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you because, as I was saying, medical issues with veterans, especially since COVID and, the hospitals being closed all across the country. And, a lot of veterans passed because of the underlying health conditions that they had with COVID. But right. A lot of us survived because we was able to talk with our doctors and felt like, well, the vaccine was safe. We talked about the vaccine. I went and got all of mine and boosters, and haven't had any issues with COVID at all. And have been exposed to people that had COVID. But Doc, you have helped me out so much, and I want you to talk about relationships with your doctor, with your care, because you helped me out. I mean, you know all of my condition. I tell you my symptoms, and you talk to me about it. And I'm kind of hard-headed, but I had some episodes that made me.
Yeah, you're not too bad. At least you learned from your. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of relationships with your physician, it is very important. no matter who you are, really, from all walks of life and all ages. From the very first time you're born and come into this world as a child, your relationship with a pediatrician, all the way to advanced age, your relationship with your primary care doctor as a senior citizen. In this country, we have a really big crisis in terms of health and health care, and unfortunately, not enough people have access to primary care. But people are starting to realize exactly how big of a role it really can play in somebody's overall health, just like you said, that access and being able to get that information, especially in this age of misinformation and, all these different things that you see on the internet, all these different pieces of information that people, follow that, is often incorrect and can actually have some detrimental effects if they incorrectly follow this advice. Being able to go into your primary care doctor and being able to trust them and get this information can be crucial.
Yes, absolutely. Tony, now you like when we first started hooking up, I thought you was a young boy, really, because your health issues is you don't demonstrate them; they're not out there. But you had some health issues.
Yes.
Could you talk about that in relationship as a veteran?
Yeah.
Okay.
As a veteran, I'm a retired federal employee, so as a result, I have a pretty good health care program.
Good.
And so as a result of that, I'm not really qualified for veteran services at the VA and everything. I have a primary care physician that cares for me.
Good.
And in fact, I've been with him a while, and he's about to retire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have a long relationship. But what I did with him was as I aged, I sat him down and I said, we haven't talked about my aging and everything. And he sort of looked at the records and then saw the birth date and realized, and I said, I'm a generian.
A geriatrician?
There, yes. And so, what are things I need to do? And one of the things he was doing, he said, there are a lot of tests you need to do as you age, particularly with your heart and cancers, And one of the tests that he began to do was, of course, the test for prostate. And so I was doing really good, and then for several years, then all of a sudden my numbers started to creep up. And as they began to creep up, he recommended that I go to a specialist.
Yes.
And so I ended up going to a specialist, and he watched me, and also the numbers sort of creep up, and at that point, he decided that all indications were that the possibility of prostate cancer was there.
Yes.
And so as a result, we did a biopsy, and the first one, they came back, I think there were like 15 that he did.
Okay.
And all of them came back except for one. It was undetermined. But all the rest of them were negative. And so I'm feeling good. And he said, we're going to give it another month or so, and then we'll test again. Okay. And then, of course, the second test, it came back positive. Okay. And everything. And so we began treating. And the interesting thing about that, and whenever you go to the doctor, a lot of times you all recommend bring a family member.
Yes, absolutely.
And I understand that bring a family member because the minute he said prostate cancer, everything after that was blah, 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 blah.
Absolutely.
Yes, and that was it.
A lot of information coming at you.
A lot of information. And unfortunately, my interpretation of it was negative because everything that generally you hear about cancer is negative, it's detrimental. Right. And at the time, which was actually 5 years ago, I said, I'm not ready to die. Right. And so he prescribed, in fact, what actually happened when I left and I had another appointment, he included in that a patient portal. Okay. Yeah. And so after about a week of calming down and getting myself together, I watched the patient portal. And then that's when I found out all of the options that I had as far as treatment. Correct. And actually, it wasn't as deadly as I thought it was. Right. And so after going back and we talked about it, the route of treatment he used was the radioactive isotopes and we did that procedure, and all of a sudden the numbers began to drop and everything. And so as of right now, normally I was seeing him initially every 3 months, and then every 6 months, and now we're at a year.
Okay.
You know,
That's
5 years, no sign of prostate cancer.
Wow.
And so
it's a good sign.
And I'm feeling good. But then I felt good all the while.
Right.
There were never any signs of my having a cancer problem.
Right.
And so, it was like a silent, deadly killer. And so, as a result, I'm now an advocate. I'm an advocate. Yeah. And one of the things I advocate is talk to your physician.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely.
And, Tony, it appears to me that you got the early diagnosis.
Yes.
See, one of the things that we are up against as veterans, we don't want to go to the doctor. Usually when we go to the doctor's on a gunny.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping we'll get out of today's session is that we need to go to the doctor. Yes. Now, I got a real problem with VA. I'm 75 years old, scheduled to see me every 12 months.
Right.
And being a victim of Agent Orange, it's a presumption that I was exposed because I was in combat in Vietnam. And I know I was exposed because I called it in. But what I've always tried to do is, keep that relationship open. At least I keep my appointments. But when I got the heart condition, it was I think I hadn't seen my doctor in a year. So now I see the doctor and he tells me I got a heart condition. I really don't pay him that much attention because I don't have the symptoms, right? I didn't have the symptoms, so oh, doc, you just want to just give me some more pills, right?
Right.
I take the pills, but I'm not really taking it in consideration that I've been diagnosed with, heart condition. And then the next thing I heard was open heart surgery. Now they got my attention. They scared the daylights out of me because no, wait a minute, I ain't done all that, but I had reached a point where I couldn't breathe. Now I needed to have some comfort in my mind because, like you said, everything after that open heart surgery I heard was buzzing in my ear. Yeah. But then I knew I had Dr. Cote.
Okay.
I know the VA wasn't finna see me no more right soon. So when I got to GenCare, I told Dr. Cote what I was going through. Not only did he listen to me, he did other tests to make sure I was not out there in Wawa land, I guess somewhere, that I wasn't hearing everything. And I got time to think about other issues and I could do some other stuff because of him. I was on really dumb streak about my condition because I didn't have any symptoms that that normal people. I'm 75 years old and I'm going every day. Man, you everywhere. Right. So I ain't got no heart condition. Early diagnosis can save serious surgery. Would you talk to us about this?
Yes. No,
I don't want the people to get it back on my
no, you definitely right. And your story nailed it in terms of just kind of identifying things early. So things like prostate cancer, the sooner the better when you diagnose them, and that's what we talk a lot in the primary care world about prevention and early detection. Just because that can greatly improve your outcomes at the end of the day. And also a lot of this prevention and early detection has to do with people not actually feeling symptoms. Matter of fact, when we actually have a test, when we call it a screening test, that's actually the definition of a screening test. You're basically testing somebody for something that they don't have symptoms of. Once they have symptoms of it, we call it a diagnostic test. Yeah, so screening is all about you feel fine, but we're checking for something anyway. So prostate cancer is one of those ones that if you're actually starting to feel symptoms of prostate cancer, that means it might be too late. Same thing with things like lung cancer. If a woman, breast cancer. So all these things we catch them early, and even when you talk about things that are common in the primary care world, like hypertension, that doesn't have any symptoms. So that's why we call it a silent killer. People can walk around for years and years with a high blood pressure and not have any headaches or chest pain or shortness of breath or anything. Until one day, all of a sudden, they do get those things, and that means that the hypertension is taking its toll over these years and caused something potentially even catastrophic, you know? So in the primary care world, when they come in and see us, we look for all these things up front, and we can catch them right away, and a lot of them are easier to diagnose the earlier you catch them, and easier to treat the earlier you catch them.
So what we're trying to make people understand today, more than anything, because, you know, watching my friend in hospice, knowing that this man was, you know, he made me stop playing football too, because he was like a brute, and I'm a little guy, so I'm trying to run back. I could outrun him, but if they trapped me, he would laugh at me because he would break me up. But to see his deterioration because of these, and at one point he had 2 cancers at one time. But I know for a fact that he was hard to go to the doctor. And when he went to the doctor, he talked to the doctor about the Falcons or the Lakers or whatever other off subject that we tend to talk to people about when we don't want to talk to them about our health care. And that's something that we want to drive home, because when we started Vietnam Veterans of America in 2020, we grew up to be over 500 members. Now, I don't know what happened to all of those guys, right? But I know personally that we have lost 67 people to deaths.
Wow.
Based on Agent Orange issues that we could have gotten early diagnosis.
Right.
Early diagnosis. Heart conditions that they could have got early diagnosis and not been scared to death to talk to your doctor, adjust your behavior. As veterans, we're capable of adjusting our behavior. We're good at that. But when it comes down to our health care, I'm seeing, you know, soldiers that David, before he passed, he had diabetic neuropathy. Wasn't talking to his doctor about the neuropathy. He was being treated for the diabetes. So, but the neuropathy, before he died, he could not hold a cell phone, and they was talking about amputating his feet because they was dead. So it's important that we get your benefits. Now, we're going to get your benefits, but we want you to live to enjoy the benefits that you're going to get.
Right.
Because you don't necessarily have to be bedridden or house-ridden to get VA benefits. And we want to talk about that just briefly, because we got some new law coming into effect in October with the caregivers program. Now, I have been upset with the caregivers program since it started, because it left a whole generation of veterans unentitled. If you was in the military before 1975, right, you get it until 911. But what about those guys that was in between that time period that was disabled? They couldn't get caregivers. So in October 1st, that'll change. And I want everybody to get your application out, because you don't have to be 100% service-connected disabled to get caregivers. Now, I might be talking too much, because you know how VA do. They done got business control rather than veteran control. So they're looking at the bottom line with treatment. I got a call this morning from the VA Medical Center to let us know that you can only get your Freedom of information at 12 o'clock, after 12 o'clock right now. And what they're basically talking about, when you're trying to get medical records or your service records to make sure you got basis for a claim. And that has been problematic with the VA, we know, because we caught them with balls of mail in the room that shouldn't have been there. And we know that the VA got problems just like the other parts of our government. And what that comes from is, you know, who you're electing to represent you. You know, we're in this political period right now where we're facing, and I want everybody to do this. If you don't do nothing else with some of the time over the next few days, watch these January 6th hearings that's being carried out by Congress. We have had an insurrection in our country. Now, we might not take that all that serious if we don't know what kind of government we have. If they're not abiding by the government and the rules that we have, that means they want another kind of government. And that, I'm gonna tell I want every veteran to listen. If they get another government, that wipe out your benefits. I want everybody to know that.
Pretty much.
So I need you to think about who you're voting for. You know, what they're talking about. If they're not talking about the democracy that we serve to protect, you know, and to promote, we need to not vote for them. I'm gonna just say that. I don't like telling nobody how to vote, because I think that's a constitutional right. They used to say, you know, it was a secret. You know, you had to tell nobody who you vote to.
Yes.
But now with social media and all these the demonstrations, and you know, we done got a Supreme Court that's stacked to do whatever the one ideology want them to do, not one that's going to maintain the law for the betterment of all people. So we got to be careful right now in this political season what we are looking at, because we're looking at some people that see themselves above the law. If they're above the laws that we have now, that means that they're going to come up with another set of laws. And what are they going to be? What kind of laws are going to be govern these people that they want to follow? Now, if I was just focusing on two people, which I think we should look at, Mitch McConnell, Sonny, and you know, his ideology, his whole ideology as a lawyer was to stack the Supreme Court. It didn't just start when Donald Trump came to power. He was always on this mission because of this school that he came out of and the sorority that he's a part of, and we need to look at that. You know, we need to really think. We need to vet some of these people that we are listening to and that are functioning in our government. This is our government. We have to keep that in mind. It's not just their government. When we got people that are going to be elected and start talking about they represent a base, the base is everybody. You know, you're elected. If you're elected dog catcher in Fulton County, you're the dog catcher for everybody.
Right.
You ain't the dog catcher for somebody just because they voted for you.
Yeah.
That's not the democracy. So we need to listen carefully at these politicians and what they're saying to us, because I think they think we're slow. They think we're slow because they will say something and then they'll reverse themselves.
Yeah.
I'm concerned with, a lot of the politicians that right now want us to look at this January 6th investigation, make your own mind up, but the facts should tell you what to do. We need to look at these political races and look at who is running and what they're saying. Are they really truly speaking to the issues that we are concerned with? Now they can speak to them, but if you ain't never did nothing about them before you start speaking to them, I'm suspect.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm kind of suspect. All of a sudden, you become the great I am. But we have to realize that we're all in it together. And I was, very emotional yesterday at Eli's funeral, because, you just see that life is moving on. But what we've always talked about, Tony, that the veteran community has to be the one that break this conversation about racism and what this country is going to be. Is it going to be a country that we serve for? We pledge allegiance to the flag, right? One nation under God, individual with liberty and justice for all. Are we going to see some people above the law and some people below the law?
Right.
And the other thing, we don't need anybody that will allow a war weapon in our communities.
Right.
There's no need for a war weapon. I can't help that you got some white folk that's scary. That's your problem. You need to deal with that problem. Not get control of the laws and make it possible for an 18-year-old mental patient
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
to go buy a weapon and enough rounds to kill 19 children, and you ain't did nothing about that. You don't want to change the laws. They don't want to look and say, look, the Constitution says that you got the rights to bear arms. It don't say what kind of arms that you got the right to bear. So we need to make sure that we have some conversation about what arms are we talking about. Yeah, you should have a shotgun or pistol in your house, but you ain't got no right to walk around the street strapped.
Right.
Right.
Cause that makes me nervous. You strapped, I'm not. I'm wondering why you got to be. Listen, we need politicians that's going to be realistic and represent what the people, the majority of the people want. If they're not doing that, I don't care what they call themselves, Republican or Democrats, because we remember when the Republican Party was the party that freed the slaves, and the Democrats were the party that was keeping the slaves. So we don't know where they at now. I'm like this right here. I'm looking at the lesser of the two evils.
Right.
And we're going to have to vote that way right now until we can get people in office, right, out of our communities. And you got a lot of them.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm so proud of Michael Julian Barnes and Marvin Downer Jr. I don't care what nobody else think about it, but they are politicians, servants. They listen to people in the community.
Yes.
They get out in the community and be there with you. You know, if a politician is not able to get out in the community, I'm at park, I'm out there watching the park, I look up, I see Michael Julian Bond, you know, he's in the park. That means he's accessible and he's listening and he's seeing what's in our community. So he's always trying to bring people together in settings that we can have these discussions. We need to have them.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm so delighted today that we got Dr. Cote on, and I'm hoping that other medical professionals were listening, especially my sister. She, you know, because she'll call me every day to make sure I'm doing what I need to do. Because she told me she didn't retire to nursing. She quit nursing because of some of the stuff that we're talking about now. She said, so she know that I'm hard headed. So every day, how you doing? Yeah, I know you ain't no salt. You know, and then she said, I'm gonna cook. You know, I'm gonna bring this up. But we need the community to get into our health care. You know, it need to be a community effort because we see right down the street here they closed a hospital. You know, right down the street. And we got more medical conditions in this area probably than any other, unless you get into the West End a little bit. What are we doing? Why are this happening? You know, then we got people working 40 hours a week and can't pay rent because the government don't cause inflation, y'all. I want y'all to know that. The president doesn't cause inflation. Businesses do. That's who raise their prices every time they can, and they doing a lot of price gouging now because they got more oil than they sell it. They got more reserves than they sell it. We got to have politicians that's got the guts to stand up for the people. Right. So we got November. We got November coming. So what we're going to be doing here is looking at this caregiver program. So I want everybody to start getting ready to file. That's eligible. 70% disability rating is what you need. You know, that means that the person that's helping you every day, and we got people that help us every day, and my daughter helps me. You know, we got family members. They are paying people to help you. Wow. Your own family. You know, what are we doing if we're not getting that benefit? It's like we went out and gave a service and we ain't gonna bring nothing back home. No. My mama say, you know, bring the check home, Elson. You know, you going to work, bring the check home. Don't cash the check before you get here because you're still a child in my house. I remember my first job, my mom would let me cash my first check. My mama said, who told you to cash the check? Well, it's my check. She said, yeah, it's your check, but you ain't grown. You at home. When you get grown, you need to be gone. I wasn't trying to go nowhere, right? So I stopped cashing my check. I just took it home to her. And she helped me to understand that I needed to know how to save some money, how to do stuff. Right. We don't have a lot of that in the community now because we got babies having babies. The church is falling apart. I know you know I was going to go there. I know all my CBC, my Concerned Black Clergy, colleagues, my brothers, my peers, and I love you, but we got to do more instructions into the home. You know, we got to do more home ministries. You know, we got to do more home ministries. You know, not just with the child, with the little bad child, because you need to look at the little bad parent. You know, I mean, that don't mean that they're bad because they want to be bad. It might be bad because they don't know no better. You know, they need to be taught. Right. You know, they need to be helped. And if we're not going to be able to do that, we're not going to be a free community long because I'm looking at the stats. We don't have any, well, we got about 3 or 4 churches in this community right now that do reentry ministries. That means that every day we got loved ones going and coming from prison. Every day.
Right.
You know, they coming back into the same environment that they left. What you think they gonna do? Unless we change this narrative for them. And we need to do it before they get out of prison. Michael Julian Bond is on that job, that kind of work. You know, we need politicians that are willing to stand up and say, hey, wait a minute, something wrong with you. You ain't gave him no opportunity to get no skills while he was locked up. You ain't did nothing for him mentally to help him get himself together.
Right.
What is he gonna do when he come back in the community? He gonna commit crimes.
Yeah.
You know, this is veterans talk. We just veterans talking and the community. But we're talking. We want to try to make sense out of a sensitive situation because a lot of this don't make sense. It don't make sense that less than 1% of the population in this country ever served in the military, and less than 10% of that ever need the VA. What's going on with them $200 and some billion every year that you got homeless veterans? You got veterans committing suicide every day. We need to see who we electing for. All this gonna roll right back into how we vote.
Yeah.
Right.
You know who we vote for. We done had some good people on deck, and we gonna get them back because we want all these people that want to run for office to come talk to the community, to come talk with veterans, because we are in the community. We are what you gave to the U.S. military. This is what you getting back. Some of it ain't all that good. Like Mama said, some of it ain't all that good, so we want to help them that ain't made it across the crack. But we got a lot of veterans in the community that's doing outstanding stuff, and will help volunteer. I know Ted listening. I'm calling Ted Jackson out, the sheriff. I'm calling you out. Because I know you're in retirement, but we need you. We need you to come back, and I need you on the show soon too, to help us understand that we can do something with juvenile issues in this community. You know, we got to do something with it because the juveniles are becoming the prisoners, and the prison population is growing. So we're not doing well with the juveniles. You know, we got to do better in our community. And that's what we're talking about every Saturday afternoon. That's all we're talking about. We try to have fun with it, but we're serious about this. This is serious business. Medical care for veterans is one of the most serious business in your household, whether you want to admit it right now or not. Because if you got a medical issue that's not allowing you to function every day, it impacts your whole family. Everybody in your household. Now, and not just everybody in your household, everybody outside your household that's in your family. Because they're going to have to come to you. Because I got nieces, and I know they're watching. They come, how you doing, old man? I'm glad they checking in. You know, so we need to take care of our health. They spending $200+ billion a year in our name, and we're not taking advantage of it.
Wow.
You know, we're not. We're not. I worked at the Atlanta VA, and they ran me off because I wanted to do my job right. You know, so, but we have to keep that, and you know, my mom say sometimes, Elson, you know, just don't say nothing. Just don't say nothing now, baby. No, don't say nothing, because he'll hit you in the mouth, don't say nothing. But sometimes you have to be able to speak up. You have to be able to speak up on the issues that's in your household. And one of the issues that we're going to have to learn to speak up, don't let your son bring no automatic weapon in your house. I know that's hard, ain't it?
Yeah, it's going to be really hard.
That's going to be hard. You know, but we got to do it. We got to get the parents able to stand up to their children. Enough to train them that you ain't got to be so afraid that you got to go get an automatic weapon to go out to a club. You know, because if everybody go out to a club with an automatic weapon, I guarantee you somebody's gonna get shot.
Right. And we have to acknowledge gun violence is an actual public health issue as well.
It's a public health issue, and you know now that's something that doctors don't talk about that much. You know, we talk about people getting shot all the time, but y'all the ones that take care of them. Right. What kind of, I mean, I know it's difficult to deal with people that's sick, but what about people that's coming into to see people with bullet wounds?
Yeah, well, that's definitely a difficult thing. As a primary care physician, I'm not up front, facing those type of issues on a daily basis. But it is something that the medical community as a whole is very concerned about, just because the numbers are very concerning, especially in inner cities, among blacks. In terms of the amount of people that are falling victim to gun violence, and it's just only getting worse.
Well, access to that. It's, anytime you got lack, you're going to have deviance. You just can't, get around that. But the deviance don't have to be violent deviance. We have to take those automatic weapons out of our homes.
Right.
We got to get the mothers to stand up and realize that your son going to get killed with this stuff. If you turn your head when you know that your child got an automatic weapon, he might not be the one that's doing the shooting. We got to start being. I know my mom would shake my room down. Just shake it down. Going down, all my stuff all over everywhere. And know what she do? Clean up, just straighten it up. I
Just
ain't
like the military.
Yeah, I ain't finna ask her what she did because she my mom. She done already. She know I got my little friends, and she done heard about the little knife fights. And one time she found a knife. What's this, Elsa? Don't bring this in my house.
Right.
You ain't got no business with no knife. But we got parents today that know their children are walking or packing, and they won't say nothing to them.
Yeah,
how are we gonna get this problem if we're not gonna face the realities of it? We can't look the other way and say that, it'll go away. Yeah, going down the street and kill somebody, or going down the street and get killed.
Right.
Because it's a two-way street. Violence don't have no friends. Ask me, I was in combat, and I know what it feels like to be up against an automatic weapon. We don't need that in the community. We got to be able to talk about that as veterans. Talking about benefits today, we're talking about health care, but we're also just veterans talking to veterans about the community and the issues that we serve that we have in our community, because your issue is our issue. We are governed by the same set of circumstances in the community. Tree fell across the street and down the street from me, it knocked out all of the cable. So wow. I know that I'm on that street where we got falling trees. So we need to make sure that we're addressing those issues that we got in our community. If we're not going to address them, they're not going away. It's not, Tony, you've heard me say this every day I wake up in my hometown, you got two mothers crying. One because their child has been murdered, and the other one because their child is being sought by the police for murder. These are our problems.
Yep.
They're our problems. And we need to talk about them. We need to get together, talk about them, strategize, mobilize, do something about it. It ain't no such thing as we can't. It's that we ain't.
Yeah.
Right.
We ain't. We done got so busy, and I got this going on. I ain't got time to stop and care about what's going on with my neighbor's child. I ain't got time to listen to a mother's crying when a child is disobedient.
Right.
You got some ladies, unfortunately today we got too many single parent households. But it is what it is, and that still is our community. We can help out. You got a lot of brothers in the church that come in there and make all these testimonies every weekend. So they need the testimony outside of the church. Let's go to work. We got to take this manpower, especially those guys that's a retired military, retired from the police station, retired from we got a lot of retired people in our community. We need you to come out and volunteer, and you can do it with Vietnam Veterans of America. We are at Club E. Anytime you want to get in touch with me and Tony, we are all on the internet. We're still doing Sons of Atlanta. I'm not gonna forget that because there's so much excitement with that project, but I'm gonna let Tony do that.
I knew you were waiting for an opportunity to do that. But before we go there, Last night, Hillside International Truth Center, the Spirit of Brotherhood is the men's group there. We had an all-nighter.
Oh, okay, wow.
We spent the night at the church.
Oh,
But one of the things we did hourly, on the hour, we said the Lord's Prayer. We opened up with that, and we closed with that this morning. Some awake, some not so awake. But we talked about all of the items that you've been mentioning today, particularly the challenges within our community. And I heard a statement last night that one of the members said, and he said, Black Lives Matter, why don't they matter to us? Because we're killing each other. You know, and you know, everybody sort of took a breath and stepped back and said, you know, it is very easy to look outside of our community and see things, but it's challenging to look inside the mirror. It's just like looking at the mirror and facing yourself with all the faults that you're dealing with. It can be really challenging.
Absolutely.
And so that occupied one of the hours of discussion, is dealing with our community and all the challenges that are going on in it.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It was a very interesting evening for all of us.
Yeah, I bet.
That's powerful.
Yeah, it is.
powerful.
It is. We're very grateful to have our new minister there that replaced Dr. Barbara. She made her transition, and he's doing an exceptional job. He's doing an exceptional job.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
But back to the topic at hand. It is very easy to get off into that conversation because it is so prevalent in our community.
It's very important.
It's something that's needed. And I'm going to jump back in there. One of the things that I found out last night, that we're talking about it. We may not be doing a lot of things, but there is a motion within the Black community of, we have a situation in our community that we've got to deal with. We can't wait for outside people. And one of the guys mentioned last night, he said, you know, most of us, the older people, we grew up in totally Black communities. So when there was a problem in our community, the Black community dealt with it.
Yes.
You know, and when he said that, I thought about the fact that when growing up in that community, whenever we were doing things in the community and less than good, shall I say, you'd hear somebody on somebody's porch, because it was always the lady or the man sitting on the porch.
Right.
And they'll say, "Aren't you so-and-so's son?" For me, that terrorized me because I knew how my father would react in a situation like that. And so it made me think twice.
Right.
That's something we don't have today.
Yeah, it takes a village.
We don't know our neighbors.
We don't know our neighbors.
It's almost a situation where we don't know a lot of the people in our church because we have a lot of mega churches here in Atlanta.
Right.
And we know the face, but we don't know those people.
Right.
You know, and so they're coming in to the church and to our community with challenges that we don't know about.
So we gotta reach out to them.
Yeah, you gotta reach out. You gotta reach out. And this is what we were doing last night, was reaching out. And so it gave all of us an opportunity to tell our story of growing up and the challenges that we dealt with. And it was informative, I'll put it that way. The number of single parent homes that a lot of us grew up in. And, you know, I did not realize that, you know. And we did well.
Yeah, we did well.
We did well. But because we had that community that made sure we stayed on the right path.
Right, that village that raised that child.
Whereas this community that we live in, that they're growing up in today, they don't have that.
That's unfortunate.
You know, they have no idea who their neighbors are. And so as a result, no accountability.
No, no accountability.
No account. We were accountable for everything we did.
Right.
And they have no accountability. So they're comfortable carrying a gun. because they don't have to be accountable for the actions that result from them carrying the gun. Yeah.
So that's powerful because it's almost like being we got disunity in the community itself.
Yes, disunity in the community. Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something. Now, Tony, I want to get you back to the sons of the Lord, but no, this is powerful stuff because I'm hoping. Now you got me want to make my church stay all night. I'm going to be tough to them. If they start running out, I'm going to tell them you. But that's a great idea. If we got to get people together in a setting where we can have these kind of conversations, then we'll start thinking about how we got some solutions within ourselves.
Right.
Within our own communities.
Right.
What we doing, we just throwing it up, and then we got racist cops and incompetent cops, and cops that don't even care anything about the community because we haven't said to the city or to the county, listen, you need to pay them folks for working. You need to pay them more so they they can do better. But we got to have these conversations. That's a great idea, man. Thank you, church. Thank you, pastor, for doing this because I think this is a step in that direction.
Yes.
What we're talking. We talk about the beloved community, but how do we get there?
Yeah.
We got to get there through having dialogue. If we don't start having dialogue about these problems in our community, we ain't gonna think about it. Like, cause some people ain't got nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you.
Yes.
It has everything to do with you. And I'm just proud of your church, man.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to talk with your pastor. Thank you for doing that because we got to get that kind of stuff rolling. And that's a great idea. So I'm gonna copycat.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tony.
But one of the things that we're doing, of course, is we're building a memorial in historic Piedmont Park to commemorate the 240 young men of Atlanta, Fulton County that paid the ultimate price during the Vietnam crisis. Here is an excellent opportunity for anybody, not just veterans, but anybody within our community to participate in this program of building this memorial, becoming a permanent, and when I say permanent, I mean permanent part of this memorial by purchasing a commemorative brick. Now, I'm going to fade back to the event that we went through last night. One of the things we did this morning was we walked around the church 6 times.
Wow.
While walking around the church, Hillsides has a fountain out front. On that fountain, a commemorative brick. And it was, when I walked up to it, I was just blown away. I said, oh, I had forgotten about this. And so, of course, I'm looking for my commemorative brick and my parents' commemorative brick that I bought, and here they are, a permanent member, permanent part of Hillside's history.
Wow.
We're celebrating 50 years this year, and so, I'm going like, this works. This works. So I'm going to share the fact that my brick in Piedmont Park is not my first brick. And I'm proud of it, And so I want everybody to be proud of their commemorative brick. The height of this particular commemorative brick at Piedmont Park is visible for everybody to see. Anytime you're going to be visiting Piedmont Park, you can always go by this memorial and see the commemorative brick that you have bought or you are going to buy in helping us construct this memorial. And so we're looking for anybody. This is a wonderful time of the year, particularly because once again, after this pandemic is easing, not over, but easing,
right.
Families are starting to have family reunion. And here's an excellent opportunity for families to get together, purchase commemorative brick for those military veterans within their family to be a part of this memorial.
That's a good idea.
We aren't looking for Vietnam veterans, we're looking for veterans.
Period.
And so all veterans in your family, let's when you gather together at those dinners, those picnics, those powwow sessions, talk about giving commemorative bricks for those veterans within our families that serve, so that they can be a permanent part. So anytime you're in Piedmont Park, here's an opportunity to visit that memorial and see that commemorative brick. And as I experienced early this morning, seeing my brick and my parents' brick at Hillside, it really made me feel good. And so here's an opportunity for you to do the same. Atlanta is a very popular city when it comes to family reunions and gatherings and all kinds of events.
Absolutely.
So here's an opportunity. When that year, when Atlanta hosts your family reunion, bring them to Piedmont Park.
And let me interject this.
Yeah.
Piedmont Park is one of the most visited parks in the state of Georgia, the whole state. You know, I mean, and the memorial is an open air memorial.
Yeah.
So you can visit it 24/7.
Yes.
And that's amazing. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah. I know, you know, because this is a team effort. You know, the memorial is a team effort, and that's getting the word out to veterans is a team effort. You know, so here, like I said, here's an opportunity for when your family reunions host in Atlanta, bring them to Piedmont Park. Show them the memorial, show those names. You know, so this is cousin, because we always say cousin, this cousin so-and-so, you know, his uncle so-and-so, his grandpa, you know, they're now a permanent member of, permanently remembered in that park, and they will be there for generations to come. So we're encouraging everybody, you know, go out, go to the website, sonsofatlanta.org. View the website. A lot of interesting information on there about the Sons of Atlanta and our organization, but also purchase that commemorative brick so that your family reunion, your family members, your loved ones, your uncle, cousin so-and-so, you know, grandpa so-and-so, here they are permanently a part of a memorial in historic Piedmont Park.
And let me say that you don't have to be a person to do that. You can be a business. GenCare Medical has become the first business in our community to buy brick for that Piedmont Park.
Wow.
Now, so what GenCare is saying, and you know, y'all, I'm just challenging everybody to beat them out. They care about veterans. They support veterans, and I can say for an absolute fact that they got this kind of community in GenCare that. I was going through some stuff, I guess, about a week ago, and you know, some symptoms. I had some symptoms that made me not want to go back to in intensive care. So I tried to call my doctor. He was gone. I called Jennifer. She called me back. You know, she said, I done got the note to your doctor, so they know they want you to walk in the next morning.
Yep.
You know, so. Businesses care. You know, GenCare is a entity in our community, and I can say this because I've been with them over 5 years, and I have always. Well, the only thing that I used to say, they want to see you too regular, but I need to be seen. I need to be seen. You know, because VA is not going to be there. Well, because of the way they're set up. Now, it's not because they don't have the capacity to do it. Because when I was working there, I was trying to get them to start another shift. It would eliminate all of that pile on that they have. They have one shift at the Atlanta VA. And you get there in the morning, you get 20 minutes with your doctor, they got time. You know, what the Atlanta VA need to do is have another shift, you know, that would, you know, give better care, and it won't cause veterans so much stress when they're trying to get out there and find a parking place because they can't. And right now, they've changed, there's some changes. They got the Category 1 veteran, which is a Category 1 veteran, which is 100% service connected, at 75. Now they'll start seeing me twice a year. You know, that's not enough.
Right.
It's not enough for the stuff that's going on with my body.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm gonna just tell people what I tell. I'm saying what I say to people that ask me what I do with that. I got GenCare. You know, I'm just telling you straight up, GenCare is my back. They got my back because when I call them, they treat me like family. You know, I mean, my doctor is here with me today as proof. You don't get your doctor to come on your in your community show unless they care. And that's what we need more of in our community.
Yes.
Is caring about each other's stuff. You know, we done got into this era of something. Ain't none of my business.
Yeah.
It is your business. I am my brother's keeper.
Yes.
Right.
You know, we have to be encouragers of the brothers. We have to prop ourselves up. We are too great a city, too great a county to have homeless people in our community. We got enough. Right now we got more vacant space with the lights on and the water running than we got homeless people.
Yeah.
So it is just a side effect of the way we doing business, and we can change our mind tomorrow the way we do business. We with this Fulton County Empowerment Commission. I know people on the Empowerment Commission think I'm a problem, but I am. I'm gonna be like John Lewis. I'm gonna be good trouble everywhere I go until I can see what we're doing is right. Mm-hmm. You know, we need to get that the whole Fulton County Empowerment Commission on deck with what they got to do for veterans in Fulton County. Yeah. You know, we don't need to be bickering about the RFP or this kind of stuff, because all that's over right now. What we need to be doing is getting the community ready for the next RFP. Mm-hmm. And that means that we need to either educate the community about the process or change the process so it'll be more community friendly. Yeah. I think we can do a little of both.
A little bit of both, yes.
You know, and so the next Thursday, right?
Yep.
Next Thursday we'll be meeting, and I'm challenging them to come out in the community. They're supposed to be about the community. We go and what we're doing, we are challenging them by planning a town hall meeting at the library, right down on
Metropolitan, yeah, the big one.
We're gonna have a town hall meeting where you're able to come out and talk about to this commission that's charged with advising the Fulton County Board of Commission on how to develop this veterans service program apparatus so we won't have homeless veterans on the street. Yeah. So I'm asking you guys to tune in. And you know, I want to give my doctor the opportunity to say some stuff that at this point about medicine or whatever you want to talk about. Because I want to thank you for being here, Doc.
Yeah, well, no, it was a pleasure to be here. You know, and just listening to everything you guys are talking about, one word that came up a lot was community. Mm-hmm. You know, so when you talk about the importance of, you know, making sure you participate in the democratic process and, you know, pay attention to who your leaders are and make sure you vote, you know, it's just as important nationally as it is on a community level, a local level, you know, so I did want to plug that in as well. Mm-hmm. And in terms of GenCare, you're absolutely right. We have a lot of veterans that go to GenCare for services because we do see patients once a month, you know, or even more often sometimes, as you've seen as well. Just because, you know, once a year or twice a year is just not enough. You know, things can change from month to month in terms of someone's health when they're your age and when they have all these chronic conditions. So we like to keep a close tabs on them, and we like to get ahead of things before, you know, they get a little bit too serious where you can't really get a hold of them anymore, you know. So that's the reason why we kind of go by that model. And it also enables us to get to know our patients better, you know. So, you know, we like to treat our patients as individuals, as people with their own unique lives and, you know, their own unique sets of circumstances, you know. So they're not just a chart or a bunch of labs or a bunch of numbers. They're actually a person. And, you know, the better you know somebody, the better you can take care of them and actually personalize their care, you know. So that's the reason why we, you know, really want to take time to actually get to know everybody that we serve. Yeah.
And what I like about GenCare, when I show up there, they say, you come to see Dr. Cote, they didn't know who my doctor is. Yeah. You know, I'm talking about the staff.
Right. At the front desk,
it's a state of mind. Because sometimes I can remember when I used to go to the VA. Every time I went to the VA, my blood pressure went up. I'm serious, dog. Every time I went to the doctor, I had to sit there for a minute and say, we got to take the blood pressure again because the blood pressure is a little high. Well, it was high because I was going into what I felt was a unknown territory.
Yeah, intense environment.
You know, you know, people don't want to admit this, but we don't know a lot about our health. And when we don't have professionals to help us understand that and able to communicate with us, we don't take care of ourselves. Yeah. You know, and that's the whole purpose of the program today, is that we want you to get into your self-help. You know, especially veterans. I'm gonna continue to visit you, and I don't want to visit you in the hospital. I'm gonna just tell you straight up. But I'm gonna continue to do it because that's the state of affairs that we got. But every time I come to the hospital to see a veteran, it breaks my heart because I don't know when you're coming out. I watch fungus develop, infections develop in hospitals and hospice that I felt like, well, they shouldn't be catching
got to that
infections.
point.
And, you know, so I don't want you to go into the hospital. GenCare helped me stay out of the hospital.
They do walk-ins as well, you know, because you never know when things might come up.
They helped me stay out of the hospital because I'm a heart patient now. I could wind up in the hospital like that. You know, that emergency is not, so I got it on my phone because I understand that, you know, just because I got a bad heart, I don't have to die.
Right.
You know, I don't have to die.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you, Dr. Cote.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I always appreciate you for what we're doing. We're going to be back in next week. Now, next week, we're going to turn it back in because we are looking at this automation at VA. It is good. I'm getting some good decisions, but we're still getting these low ratings. So we're going to have to look at what we're talking about next week with veteran claims. See you next Saturday. Thank you.